Welcome to another episode of Training Tuesdays, where today we're going to talk about heel hooks with physical therapist James Lee, how you can do them well and keep your knees healthy while doing them.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit of how to do heel hooks. There's two ways primarily to do it, and one is by using your hamstrings a lot, and the other way is to drive with using your hips. And so I think the common misconception of heel hooks is really trying to use your hamstring. And so I'll first demonstrate typically what beginners want to do and then show you a mechanically advantageous way to do it. So when you first start off, I would say the beginner, as they climb, they want to just get right behind the hold and crank down with their hamstrings. And so you're using a lot of stress into the hamstring there, and you're trying to go up for the next move. However, another alternative to do the heel hook is to be able to place your heel a little bit more on the side of that heel and drive more with your hips. So the way that looks is to turn your toe out and lay a little bit more on the side of the heel, and you can even get to the point where you're using a lot of your hips to drive, and ultimately, you don't even need your hands, because a lot of the weight and what's keeping you into the wall is that heel laying you down onto the wall to make that next move. So that would be a lot harder to do if you are just cranking on your hamstrings and you're pulling in this way. If I let go, I'm just gonna fall backwards like that. So here's another great example of using your heel, making sure that your toes not just right up against the wall, but you wanna make sure that your toes turning out so that you have more drive through the hip. Like that. So it would be much harder if I didn't keep my toes out as I made that next move. And if I'm just cranking down here, I feel a lot of stress into my hamstrings. So making sure that your knees turned out, toes are turned out, and get more drive through the hip, and that gives you a lot more power. Okay, so let's say you're starting here and then you're making the moves over. A good way to grab this hold is once you're setting up here, and then as you go over here, you're sort of stuck. You want to be able to place a good foot somewhere. So here's a good heel that you could place, and instead of using just your hamstrings by turning in here, it's good to turn your toes out like that and lay on the side of the hold. Add a little bicycle there, and look, most of my weight is just held with my legs, and I could easily move forward to the next hold like that.
And notice this big deal with twisting the toes out and having the heel kind of on its side. You'll start noticing that more and more. It just fits better, and it gives you kind of more control and more rubber kind of onto the hold and whatnot.
As opposed to doing it in this type of fashion where you're heel pure, hooking that heel,
ankle, that's
the back of the heel, it doesn't really help that well. So laying it on the side, increasing that surface area, makes a huge difference.
Cool. Yeah, and then kind of the last thing to keep this episode short is the setup foot. So you're always going to have a setup foot, right? So if your right foot's here, how are you going to heel, right? First, you need to learn how to switch feet well. And then the left foot's gonna be your setup foot, right? So step through and then up and over. Step through and then up and over. Even if there was no foot here, you would then set up here. You would smear over. Cool, guys? Hopefully that helped. Let us know if you want to see another episode on heel hooks. We'll kind of bring in more different styles, but thanks James for talking about this. And then real quick blurb, how do you keep your knees healthy when you're heel hook?
I would just make sure that you're not cranking down too hard on the heel. So especially if there's a hard move and you want to just progressively add that weight to your heel so that you're not, all of a sudden shock loading it. Exactly.